For the first time in his presidency, Donald Trump isn't just clashing with Democrats. He's battling his own party. And this isn't about anonymous leaks or behind-the-scenes whispers. No, this is Republican senators publicly standing up, casting votes, and drawing a clear constitutional line. They're sending a message loud and clear: the president doesn't get to go to war without Congress. What set this off? Three seemingly unrelated things collided: military threats against a NATO ally, a national emergency over foreign oil, and a full-blown accountability crisis no one in Washington wants to address. Trump's response? Predictable. Anger, profanity, demands for loyalty. But here's the twist: it's not working anymore. This isn't just political drama. This is a test of something much bigger: whether American power answers to the law or to one man's unchecked instincts. Stick with me, because this is far from over. We're about to break down exactly why this is happening and what's really at stake. Let's break it down. Last week, Republican senators teamed up with Democrats to pass something called the War Powers Resolution. Now, I know that sounds like political jargon, but stay with me. This matters. The War Powers Resolution isn't just some obscure rule. It's a legal tool designed to limit the president's ability to start military action without first getting Congress's approval. This wasn't a symbolic vote. It wasn't a close call. It was a bold public statement from lawmakers. You don't get to decide when America goes to war all on your own. So why did this matter? Because of one thing: Greenland. Yes, you heard me right, Greenland. Trump has been publicly suggesting military action against it. Not as a joke, not as some negotiating tactic. He's been seriously floating the idea of taking military action against a NATO ally. And here's the catch: Greenland isn't just some empty landmass. It belongs to Denmark, a NATO member. And NATO operates on something called collective defense. An attack on one member is an attack on all. Now, here's the part that should really make you sit up and pay attention. When an American president starts talking about military action against NATO territory, it's not just unusual, it's legally and internationally explosive. If you were a senator, you'd be hearing alarm bells. But here's where it gets interesting. Senator Susan Collins, after voting for the resolution, reportedly received a phone call from Trump himself. The conversation was reportedly intense, full of threats and demands for loyalty, but Collins didn't back down, and neither did the other Republicans who sided with the Democrats. Do you see where this is heading? We're not just talking about a constitutional clash. This is about whether the president can single-handedly challenge the alliances that have kept America strong for decades. The War Powers Resolution wasn't just a protest, it was a warning, and now it's clear. This conflict isn't just between Trump and the Democrats, it's between Trump and his own party as they face a choice: loyalty to one man or loyalty to the system that's kept the nation stable. Things are about to get even more intense. While all of this was happening, something else flew under the radar. Trump declared a national emergency over Venezuela's oil assets. Now, on the surface, that might sound like a reasonable move: secure energy resources, reduce dependence on hostile regimes, protect American interests. But let's dig deeper. Venezuela's oil infrastructure is a mess. Decades of mismanagement, sanctions, and underinvestment have left it in ruins. Rebuilding it, that would take a decade and tens of billions of dollars. But here's the kicker: who really benefits from this emergency? Not American consumers. The real winners would be multinational energy companies, the ones with the capital, the expertise, and the global reach to extract and refine Venezuela's oil. These are the companies that don't necessarily invest in American workers or families, but they sure do stand to make a massive profit. So why now? Why declare an emergency at this moment? Well, look at the timing. This national emergency wasn't declared during an immediate crisis. It was declared in the middle of a political firestorm, a firestorm sparked by the War Powers Resolution and the increasing pressure for oversight. And emergencies, when declared, have a powerful effect. They centralize decision-making. They allow a president to act unilaterally, bypassing Congress and the normal legislative process. Every time Trump invokes emergency emergency powers, whether it's for the border wall, COVID-19 responses, or trade restrictions, it lowers the threshold for what qualifies as an emergency. And with each new declaration, the scope of executive power expands. Republicans, many of them, are starting to notice this pattern. And here's the trap that's quietly being set. Today's emergency powers become tomorrow's normal. Think about it. Once you normalize unilateral executive power, it doesn't disappear when your party loses the White House. It gets handed down to whoever comes next. So every Republican who votes to expand these powers needs to ask themselves one question. Do you really want a future Democratic president wielding this same authority? Because that's exactly the kind of precedent you're setting. So what's next? Where does this all lead? Well, the next 30 to 90 days are going to be critical. The Republican resistance to Trump is likely to intensify. The War Powers resolution was just the beginning. More oversight requests are coming on emergency declarations, on document disclosures, on the stalled Inspector General reviews, and Trump, he'll escalate, no doubt about it. Expect more rage, more threats, and of course, more demands for absolute loyalty. But here's the catch. Once you've crossed a line, it's harder to go back. Republicans who voted against Trump on this War Powers resolution have already accepted the political risk. They've already faced the calls, the threats. Backing down now would only show weakness. So what happens if the resistance holds? We could see a rebalancing of power. Executive authority checked, congressional power reasserted, norms reinforced. But if the resistance collapses under pressure, well, we're witnessing something much darker, a presidency that operates beyond institutional limits, setting precedents that will shape American governance for decades. And on the international stage, some damage may already be irreversible. Once Allied trust is broken, it takes years to rebuild. NATO, European partners, and even Asian allies are already recalibrating their approach to American commitments. Adversaries like Russia, China, and Iran, they're watching closely, waiting to exploit any signs of weakness. This isn't just a political battle. It's a structural test of American democracy itself. Here's the bottom line. Republicans aren't pushing back against Trump out of some sense of disloyalty. They're doing it because they're alarmed. 3 crises have collided: war powers, emergency declarations, and accountability failures. And it's forcing lawmakers to decide between party loyalty and institutional survival. The fight over Greenland and military threats isn't just about one president's reckless rhetoric. It's a constitutional crisis. It's a fight over whether presidents can threaten NATO allies without consequence, and whether Congress will defend its authority or simply surrender it. But here's the truth that everyone's missing. Process matters. When transparency fails, when oversight is ignored, when emergencies become routine, democracy doesn't collapse in one dramatic moment. It erodes slowly, quietly, until someone finally says no. That's what we're seeing right now. Whether it's the War Powers Act, the emergency declarations, or the ongoing failures of accountability, this isn't about political sides. It's about whether the rules that govern power remain stronger than the people who hold it. So here's what I need to know from you. When institutions get tested like this, what matters more, the spectacle or stability? Do you think Republicans will hold the line or fold under pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and they shape how I approach these stories. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Trust me, this story isn't over. In fact, it's just getting started. And remember, democracy doesn't protect itself. It relies on people, lawmakers, judges, voters willing to defend it when it's uncomfortable, politically risky, and inconvenient. That defense is happening right now. Whether it succeeds depends on whether enough people are paying attention. Thank you for watching.